Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog, and today we are discussing cutting your word count. So there are two different types of writers in this world. We have the overwriters and we have the underwriters. This video is specifically for the overwriters. These are writers who go way above the word count of the categories they are writing in. If you want to know more about the various word counts expected of an author, the link is above me now to my video on that. It varies depending on who and what genre you are writing for. However, there is a general word count. First off, why would you want to reduce your word count? One, money. Every word costs money. If you are trying to get traditionally published, the more words, the more your book is going to cost to produce, the less likely a publishing company is going to want to front that bill. Also, if you're an indie author, that's more for you to pay. Reason two, waffle. If someone sees a book this size, but it's a really traditional love story, you're going to see it and think, There are specific lengths of books that readers expect for the type of age category they are in and also for the category of genre they are wanting to read. If your book is out of this range, you're going to look a bit weird on the shelf. So today I'm going to give you guys 8 tips on how to reduce your word count if you have found yourself in that overwriter category. Before we get into those tips, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Alright, tip number 1. Show, don't tell. By this I mean remove those redundant words and sentences. If you show a character doing something, delete that paragraph you've written after, telling the reader what they've just seen character do. This could be things like a character fanning themselves, and then in the next bit in the dialogue going, oh, it's really hot today, isn't it? We already know it's hot. They're fanning themselves. Let's move on. Number 2. Is it needed? Whilst you are editing your work, ask yourself if what you're reading is necessary to the story. You tend to do this scene by scene. If you could take a scene out of the book and the plot would still move along as it should do, get rid of it, it's not needed. If you have seen my review of Bridget Collins' The Betrayals, you'll see that in the back of her book she wrote that it's hard to hear that 60,000 words of your book are not needed. This is the kind of stage that would have been noticed in. If it's not needed, you get rid. This gives you a more precise, more interesting read where the reader cannot get bored. Number 3, combine scenes. By this I mean, if your character needs to say, see a specific necklace, that necklace doesn't need a scene all to itself. Your character could see that necklace during another scene on another person or in someone's room that they are busy stealing something else from. You can combine these scenes to get more across in one go, making the plot more interesting, faster paced, which helps your reader read further. Number 4, eliminate redundant sentences. Do you repeat yourself whilst you're writing? Do you possibly describe too much? For example, a character leaving a room should really only take one sentence, unless they're singing and dancing on their way out. If you're describing this character leaving in multiple sentences or even an entire paragraph, you gotta get rid of some of that. Likewise, say you are describing a lovely pond. Is the pond really necessary to your story? If it's not, let's clip that. This links in to number 5. You don't always need it. You don't always need those 5 adjectives to describe the same thing. Likewise, you don't always need the adverbs when you can probably use a better word to sum it up in a much more concise and more riveting way. For example, instead of saying the character ran quickly, you could just say sprinted. Done! And that definitely sounds more enticing. Number 6. Flashbacks or backstory. Now this can be a personal preference. Generally, you don't want too much of this. If you saw my review on the 10,000 Doors of January, you'll see this is a problem I had with that book, is it just had too much of this, so the story just didn't get going. If you are going to have flashbacks or backstory, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to have it in your book, but make sure it's necessary, and if at all possible, try to fit it into your story in snippets or in useful dialogue, rather than having a full paragraph of just a backstory. As always, does it move the plot? Number 7. Too many characters. The more characters that you have, the more descriptions you're going to need to describe who they are. The more people you're going to have in a conversation. The more characters, the more people you're going to have the reader keep track of. You can't just mention the character who's best friends with your protagonist, then forget about them for chapters on end for them to reappear. We're going to question what the hell's been going on. If they're meant to be friends, why weren't they even thought of? So the more characters, the more words. Make sure every character in your book is necessary. If the story could easily get to that climactic end without one, get rid of them. You don't want a mass of people if you don't need them. Similarly, another thing that can come into this is the more characters you have, depending on how you've chosen to write it, could mean multiple points of view. People like George R. R. Martin can get away with this in Game of Thrones because they are already a very famous writer. People will pick up their books because it has his name on it. That's easily publishable. Whereas if you are a debut novelist, publishers are less likely to take your book if you have multiple points of view because there's a lot more space for waffle. And finally, number 8, print it. Read it aloud. A good way to find out if your sentences are cohesive and run fluently is to hear them. Likewise, getting away from the computer screen and holding the actual physical book shows you how many words are on that page. Would you get sick of that if you were the reader? Print it out and look at it and read it aloud and see if it flows. You will hear yourself repeat unnecessary words. Circle it. Get rid of it. Ultimately, overall, the main question to always ask yourself in your writing is, does it advance the plot? If the answer is no, toss it. Similarly, if you are reading a sentence, is there a word that could sum this up? Less words, more concise, faster pace, addicted reader. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you are an overwriter, it is not a bad thing. At least you've got the words on the paper and hit that word count. Let's just make sure all those words are good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. I post bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!